I hope so. So far, not so much, but it's fun. And I'm getting a lot of messages out there. So it means a lot to me.
It's great.
Okay. You ready to get started?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just going to read some show notes in. Hi, Lissa. It's Jana. And I'm here with Malek Fattah. And I'm definitely going to have him say his name because I know I'm murdering it. But I'm going to get him read in and we're going to get started. So I'm going to do our countdown. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with Malek Fattah. He has over 8 years of experience in customer service, offshoring to USA and UK, have shaped his English to be a native like. He has very good English, by the way. For 4 of those years were in management roles where Malek recruited, hired, and trained, maintained a team of over 20 people. Adding to that, another 2 years of being a virtual assistant, which is one of my favorite things to have online. Malek acquired a very versatile and diverse set of skills, and I think you got that from a movie, right? As a digital nomad. So, Malek, I am so glad you're here. I know that I murdered your name. And you told me how to say it, but we both agreed I wasn't going to be able to pull that off. But I want you to say your name so everybody hears how beautiful it is.
Well, the Malek is the correct version of it for the first name, but for the last name, the correct Arabic name is Abdel Fattah, which it's a bit of a religious name. It's called Abdel Fattah. Abd means worshipper, and Fattah is one of the names of the Islamic god.
So that's beautiful. And then us Americans just slaughter that. I'm so sorry because I had to have him say his name because it was gorgeous. And I know we're going to talk about your story of hope, but I also want to mention that you have one of my favorite things in the whole world is a virtual assistant company where you are vetting virtual assistants. And that's kind of something you're putting out in the world now, which is incredible. And we're going to get into that later. But right now, can you, like we share stories of hope on the podcast, can you share your story of hope with us?
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a little bit of a cliche, like from the bottom up and and all this kind of stuff. But it's here in Egypt. I'm based in Egypt, born and raised, and I've been in Egypt like my entire life. Don't let my accent fool you. Um, I've worked in call centers or customer service industries for almost my entire career. I started with it and I grew in it for about 8 or 9 years now. And the economy in Egypt is not really that great. A quick Google search will tell you that the Egyptian pound is an equivalent of like $1, $1 is the equivalent of like 16 or 17 Egyptian pounds within that range. So it's a very big difference. So at the time, I was just like getting married. I was 23 and I got married very young. And I just graduated a couple of years ago and I was working in a call center and I was in debt for quite a heavy amount. And at the time when I first started, me and my wife were living on an equivalent of like around 800 pounds per month, which is an equivalent of like $50 to $60 per month. That was our household income for the month, for like $50 or $60. That's how we started. Like, and that's I was the sole worker. My wife didn't work, and I'm the sole income in the house. So it was really hard at the beginning, to the point that we could not move into our house. We had to live with with my in-laws so we can like survive these years. And I remember one of the turning points for me at the time, like after less than a year of marriage, we were just like trying to shop for something. I don't even remember what it is, but I remember promising myself at the time, like my wife picked up something and she asked me like, can we buy this? And I was like, how much is it? And she told me the price and I said, no, we can't afford it right now. So I remember very vividly that at the time, I promised myself and I swore that one day I'm gonna, instead of ask you how much is it, I'm gonna ask you how many do you want? So that was, I would say the beginning line of when I started thinking how to create my own business. I have tried thousands of ideas for businesses. I even contemplated the idea of baking some muffins and selling them on the street. Like, I went through every and any single business idea that I could think of at the time that I could start without a capital, without having to pay for something at the beginning. And it wasn't really that doable. There were some ideas that were dismissed right away. There were some ideas that I actually tried and they failed, and there were some other ideas that I tried and it worked for a while and then they failed. It was a roller coaster. And we got pregnant very early within our first year of marriage. So after that, it started like compiling. Like, I had a daughter and 24, and I was still in the call center industry. I was still in the customer service. It had its moments, but it wasn't really that great. It wasn't something that you can build a career out of, because you work as a first liner for a while, and then you get promoted to like a team leader or a manager, and that's about it. That's the end of the career. You have to find something else. But the problem is, or I wouldn't call it, it's a good problem, that I found my calling within these years to be helping other people. I enjoyed the idea of helping others achieve their goal. I like helping other people um, reach what they want, reach their full potential. And by doing so, it was very fulfilling. So that's what kept me going through those years. And the idea of helping others was upgraded for me, or it was a little bit of changed when I became a manager, when I became a team leader in customer service, because I'm not just helping the customers at this point, I'm helping my team as well. And with my team, I could help them achieve their full potential as agents and achieve their full potential as being promoted as well to being team leaders. Like, after my first year as a team leader, around 50% of the other team leaders were coming out of my team. These are because I was interested in achieving that. I was interested in making them achieve that. Most of my colleagues as team leaders, like in the beginning, the people who were team leaders before me, they were interested in just being a team leader, being manager. And I had one team leader in my career that I consider my spiritual father, or my godfather in management, because I truly try to apply his style, and I know that even after 9 years or 8 years, I still cannot fulfill what he does. He's an amazing person. Um, I always attempt to be a leader, not a boss. I always try to do that. I always try to connect with my team members as a leader. I want them to grow beyond me. And this is where I truly realized my skill set and my potential. I'm the kind of person who stands behind the curtain, pushing the person in the spotlight. I'm not the kind of guy to stand in the spotlight. If I ever get a speaking opportunity or something, I will probably reject it. Because I'm not the person to stand in the spotlight. I'm the guy who will stay behind the curtain and cheer on the person who is in the spotlight.
So you're the
That's my
Oz.
person. Exactly, yeah. That's my personality.
Run the whole
So
city from behind the screen. That's awesome.
yeah, pretty much. So I'm not the kind of guy who would like be a coach or be a person who stands in the spotlight. And that kind of gave me the idea of how can I help more people? And this gave me the calling, or the goal of how can I help more people? Okay, now I am serving customers and I am helping my team members, but how can I help more people? I want more. So after all these years, I got the odd coincidence that I got an opportunity to work with a virtual assistance company for some client in Canada. And the guy was fine with having someone with zero experience as a virtual assistant, and he was willing to teach me everything. So that was when a whole new horizon opened up for me. Like I'm a learner. I always try to learn something new every day. So I'm starting from scratch, but I'm learning something, a lot of stuff. I was drinking from a fire hose at the time. When I first started as a virtual assistant, it amazed me how many things out there that I can do. It amazed me how many people that I can reach out to and I can help and I can make them realize their dreams or help them realize their dreams. That opened my eyes to a whole new horizon. So when I started this job, I stayed in it and like for a whole year, just learning stuff. It's literally learning stuff. I'm not even fully focused on doing as much as I am focused on learning new stuff. And once I felt that I have learned quite enough to become my own thing, I started doing freelance jobs for other clients. So when I started doing that, I also, like for almost half a year or a year, I worked with clients on my own as a freelancer in addition to my full-time job as a virtual assistant for that guy. And this is the part where it gets a little bit odd because um, well, one of my clients asked me to excuse me. One of my clients asked me to refer. She wanted to refer her clients to me. She wanted me to do what I do for her clients as well. So I'm not the kind of guy who say no to opportunities. So what happened at the time is that I had a full-time job. She or her project as a freelancer, she took around 3 hours per day to complete, as well as my other projects that I was working on. So it was like my day was full packed. There was no way that I can do that on my own. And that's when I got the idea that it is possible to have other people do that for me and on my behalf. As long as I supervise them, I manage them, I make sure that they are doing it correctly as I do it, why not? And I started contemplating the idea. I actually decided, instead of thinking too much about it, because I'm an overthinker, I just decided to like cut to the chase and actually do it right then and there, even without taking her permission. So I started. I made it an ad on Facebook, and I started interviewing people. And actually, a fun story from that time, like when I was interviewing people, one of the guys was very impressive, and I wanted him on my team. And by the end of the interview, he asked me like, "So what's the company that I'm going to be working with?" And I was like, it's not really a company. It's just me. I'm going to outsource some work to you. But I didn't want to say it like that because I wanted him on my team. And I felt like if I say it that way, he's not going to join. So I'm an avid gamer. I play a lot of video games when I have the free time toward it. And I was playing a game at the time, but just before the interview, called League of Legends. So I just looked at it, League of Legends. Okay, League of Virtual Assistants. That's where the name came from.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's a perfect name too, right?
Yeah, because it's a team of virtual assistants and we will provide virtual solutions. So League of Virtual Assistants.
Well,
And
wait
it
a
came
minute.
from a game.
Did you get him on your team?
Yes.
So it was a winner.
Yep, he was a winner. And he's still, to this point, one of my top performers.
I love it. One of the things I want to talk about, I want to talk a lot about what you do. One of the things I want to talk to you about is what some people don't really even understand what a virtual assistant can do for them. What do virtual assistants do? I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. They do what a regular assistant does, but they do it virtually. But I use virtual assistants all the time. There is no way. It takes a village to run my stuff. And I need people who know what they're doing. They're professionals at it. They're going to get it done the first try, and I don't have to do over and over and over because I'm trying to do it. But what exactly are virtual assistants for?
Well, at this day and age, I think virtual assistants is an unfair term, actually. It first started with freelancer, and then it kind of evolved into virtual assistants. But I think now it should even evolve further to virtual solutions. because virtual assistants, like you said, it's a no-brainer. It means that everything an assistant does, but it's virtually or remote. But we actually do more than that, because assistants usually bring the image of an admin. When people think about assistants, virtual assistants, or even like regular assistants, they usually come up with the idea of an admin, like someone who handles emails, meetings, schedule, travel arrangements, stuff like that. We do that, but it's not only that. We have like social media management. We have LinkedIn management. We have web development, web development, web design. We have graphic design. All of these stuff are considered within the virtual assistant term. That's why I think it's a little bit unfair. It actually could evolve into virtual solutions, because what you do is, you, as you said, you look for that person who is experienced, professional, on time, and he can do the job that you want him to do. The first on the social media management, you hire a social media. When you need web development, you hire a web developer. When you need graphic designing, you hire a graphic designer, and so on and so forth. So all of these are considered virtual assistants, and all of these are services that we provide, or I provide in my agency, and many other agencies do. So in this case, I think it's a very limited term, but it can be upgraded to like virtual solutions, because it's a problem that you want to solve. So you hire professionals to solve it.
What I like about your services is, if I am looking for a virtual assistant to help with web design, and I go out into the world looking for virtual assistants, not everybody has that web expertise. If I'm looking for someone to represent me on social media, I need someone who's going to really take the time to get to know me and hear my voice and put my authentic self out in the world. Probably not the web designer, right? But if I go to someone like Malek, he hears what my needs are, and he's got the perfect person he's already vetted and worked with and knows the quality of work they put out. And that for me is salute, because we were just talking about horror stories, and I have been through VAs, and it wasn't really their fault. Sometimes maybe I wasn't explaining myself correctly, but at the end of the day, they weren't an expert in that field. A virtual assistant is not virtual solutions. So this, to me, I understand the upgrade, because a virtual assistant can't do everything across the board. It's just not possible, and be an expert at it. But if you go to someone like Malek and you tell him, like, these are what I'm looking for, he knows the right person to hook you up with. So you're not doing that trial and error. It's taken me maybe 3 years of trial and error to get the perfect people to work with. I know it was tough.
Well, I kind of agree with you, because it does take time, and especially to find someone that you trust to complete this, your requests. Now, this is a good point when comparing between solo freelancers or solo virtual assistants and an agency. When dealing with an agency like Leo Virtual Assistant, for example, as you said, I already have a team of pre-vetted virtual assistants that I know they can do their jobs, and I know their expertise, and I know which type of personality fits with which type of client. So these are two of my major points when I have a new client, like, or when I'm trying to talk to a new client. Instead of dealing, like, for example, most people, when they try to hire virtual assistants and they don't know how to do it properly, or this is their first time to do it, they usually go to one of the major websites like Upwork, Freelancer, Fiverr, all of these kind of websites. First of all, these websites charge you extra. Like 20% of what you pay does not go to the virtual assistant, so it goes to the website. And for me, that doesn't feel right, because I understand that the website did the job of connecting the two together, but 20% seems exaggerated. And the second thing is, these websites right now are too big for their own good. Once you make a post on Upwork, for example, I need a VA that does so-and-so, you will get, within 30 seconds, bombarded with thousands upon thousands of applications. People have created automated scripts that they look for keywords in your jobs, and they immediately apply to it as soon as they find it. And it doesn't matter if that person is experienced in that job or not, if that person who is applying is really actually a person who is going to be able to fulfill that request or not. They don't care. They just want to apply to as many jobs as they can so they can get paid. Even though they can, sometimes they could not actually fulfill the job, which can be, like you said, takes 3 years to find someone who can you actually trust to do the job for you.
Well, I can't tell you how true that is because that's my exact story. Like I go on Fiverr, I went on several sites and I got bombarded with messages, all extremely similar. So I get now why they were so similar. And, it's over processing. How do you find the right person in 300 people? Are you looking for a price point? Because that's not necessarily correct. And so it was really a nightmare for me to try to just find someone.
Well, I do have a trick. Let me share that tip with you guys. There is a trick if you still want to hire directly from that website, like any similar website. There is just one simple trick. Like in the middle of the job ad, not at the beginning, not at the end, in the middle. You want to make sure that this person reads through the ad. You can ask a very irregular question. What's your favorite color? What's your spirit animal? And just put it randomly in the middle of the ad. So someone who skimmed through the top and the bottom of the ad will not be able to see it. So first of all, that if someone did not answer that question, you can immediately skip it.
That is great advice. I might use that a lot, even with my kids.
So that if someone answered that question, they have read through your ad, and that they actually know what you requested. So there is a bigger chance that they know how to do it.
That's perfect. I mean, I never even thought of that, but you're right. It's like we use qualifying questions when we're talking to people in our niche. And that's a great qualifier to put something in there strategically that if they're not answering it, they're not even bothering to read through your ad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great tip.
You have to make it irregular. Like you have to, like, you cannot ask a question that within the niche itself, because it could be answered accidentally. You have to make it completely irrelevant to whatever you're saying in the job post. Like I said, like, what's your favorite color? What's your spirit animal? Where do you want to travel if you had the chance? Anything that is like completely irregular and completely unrelated. So that way that this person has actually read through and understood what you're saying in the job ad.
Great tip. You guys all heard it here first. So what else do you do with your service?
Well, we do practically everything under the sun. Anything that can be done remote, we can provide it. Because other than my team, I'm also able to hire or onboard new virtual assistants for any kind of required job or requested job, because I also have a Facebook group that is job niche for job hunters in Egypt. My team is everyone from my team is from Egypt. I only hire from within my country. So all of these guys come from that group where I'm a co-creator of it, which is currently standing around 80,000 people. So it's almost guaranteed that whatever the experience that you need, I can get it from that group. I can hire someone directly from that group, so we can fulfill any kind of request. I've recently had some requests for a data analyst, web design, deep learning, even like AI deep learning. Someone asked me for a virtual assistant who can assist in coding an AI with deep learning capabilities. I don't even know what that means. But I found him someone who does. So
that's amazing.
Worked out.
Here's the part I like the best. If I have a problem in communicating what I need with my VA, or they tell me something's going to be completed and it's not, it's so much easier to have a company and say, look, I hired your company to give me a VA that does this, and for you, since you oversee everything, to fix the situation. So that, and there are going to be hiccups as you're starting with a new VA. They get to know you. They know, like, she said this, but I think she means this. And because that happens all the time with me. And they will quickly ask me, you said this, but were you talking about that? And immediately, yeah, of course. Thank you for asking. And so it just takes a little while to get into that nice flow. But once you do, I'm telling you, your life gets so easy.
Absolutely true. And that's why I kind of enforce this rule that within the first month, with a new client or a new virtual assistant in my team, within the first month of their working together, I'm always present in their meetings, in their email threads, in their chats. I'm always there because three brains are better than two, and we can brainstorm ways to streamline the process, and I can ease the communication. Sometimes I can understand or iterate some stuff that are not as clear as it's thought to be. I can All of these communication issues, when there are three people communicating instead of two, it's much better, much easier, and much more seamless. That's why I enforce this rule that when I'm working with a new client, at least for the first month, I'm always present in all their communications so I can clear up any misunderstandings. And like you said, it's always better to have some kind of authority or hierarchy for the agency so you can so that's always a good opportunity or a good thing to have in my agency as well.
So one of the things that I like about using a service is I do what you call in the US is cherry picking. Instead of hiring one person to do everything, I go out and find an automator. I go out and find a web person. And then I have all these people that I'm
Mhm.
trying to coordinate and keep in line with. It'd be so much easier if you have one person. You need a VA just to coordinate all the things going on around you.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. Some people, I've seen some clients who have like a leader VA and then a bunch of other VAs doing different tasks, and someone who is like just a leader who is taking care, overseeing the whole process. So when working with an agency, that's also a problem automatically resolved because you already have that person. I have one of my clients who hired 5 different people for 5 different tasks, but he does not communicate with them directly. He does not provide his requests directly to them. He just has this one pipeline of communication through me, and I distribute whatever to the person who does the task. So he requested me to do that. He doesn't want to have to talk to 5 different people every day, asking for reports or asking for tasks or asking for requests. He just knows that he goes to Malek and he asks Malek, and Malek will deliver. Doesn't matter who does the job.
One of the things I want to touch on is that you handle social media and you also have a service where they post, they answer, they, keep engaged. First of all, if you are an influencer out there, this is so important. You have to respond to people reaching out and connecting with you. And I asked Malek, how do you do that? How do you do that and sound like me? Because it's really important that they don't think I set somebody in my seat to fill in, right? That I'm showing up.
Yep.
And you had a great answer for that. Do you remember?
Well, I don't remember what I told you exactly, but but usually what I say in this situation, you always try to study you first before we take your account. We Myself and the virtual assistant who will be handling your account, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or any other kind of social media, we study your character. We study your previous posts, your previous comments, your way of responding to people, your private messages, if you allow us. All these kind of stuff will give us this kind of inside knowledge, and we will always try to mimic that style, and we will try to mimic that way of presenting yourself on social media. And the thing is that myself and most of my team, we used to be customer service veterans. We worked in call centers for quite a long time. We worked in call centers for quite a long time, and most of the work that we did were in UK or US or Canadian call centers or service providers. So we're very intimately familiar with these cultures. Like most of the problems that you get with having someone handling social media account for through outsourcing to someone on the other side of the planet, when what happens is that you start finding that it's a different culture, it's a different way of thinking. It's a different method of speaking. But with us, that issue is minimized. It's not 100% eliminated. That's a given, but it's minimized because we're so intimately familiar with the Canadian and the U.S. culture and the U.K. culture and all these like major five countries, English-speaking countries, that we have worked with these people for quite a long time. So we absorb that culture. One of the greatest examples that I usually use is my accent. If we did not introduce myself as an Egyptian in the beginning of the pod, I don't think anybody will consider me an Egyptian. They will think that I'm somewhere from the U.S. And this happened to me previously. That if once I don't introduce myself, I don't know why, but they usually guess that I'm in New York for some reason.
I would guess New York too.
I have no idea why, but I guess it's like this is the accent that I picked up the most. I don't know. So in this is one of the examples. Like most of my team members are kind of on the same level, that we understand the American culture, we understand the Canadian culture. How do you guys think? How do you guys so when we try to take over your social media, that issue of feeling that this is a VA talking behind the screen, it's not really there.
You know what, by the way, I have used these services and they have been phenomenal. They know I'm very positive. They know that my message is of hope. And if they ever got a question, they would quick send me a question. One of your clients or someone's asking this, how would you like me to answer them? And so it was me coming back on the little things I couldn't filter through. And so I loved using someone doing my social media because I wanted them to have fast response. I wanted them to know that they mattered and what they were saying, mattered to me. So I think that's a beautiful service that you offer.
Thank you.
So how can people find you?
Well, we have a website, www.leagueofva.com. You can also reach me directly on LinkedIn, just Malek Fattah, or Fattah, Malek, Malek. And I'm 90% of the time online. If I'm not answering right away, I'm just going to be sleeping most of the time. So.
That's awesome. And I met Malek through a networking group, and he's a genius. I was so intrigued by him, and I asked him if he would come and share what he's doing on the podcast because I think he's so amazing. So thank you for coming and sharing what you do and your story. I think that's crazy that you tried all these things, but you didn't stop. You just waited until the right thing came along and you made it magic.
Thank you. It took around 10 years, but yeah, we made it.
Doesn't matter how many years, so long as you get there, right?
Absolutely. And just because you said this is a message of hope and a story of hope, I mentioned that we used to have an income of $50 per month. If I had to write a book about my journey, I'd probably name it $50 a month to $50 a day.
I love it. That's a beautiful story and a beautiful message of hope. Thank you so much, Malek.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.